Oh, he's going over even further. Wow.
Oh, gone and done it again. Hello and welcome back to my channel. So as you've probably just worked out, I've gone and done another order. And what I was doing is I was just having a little look around as we do in the hobby. Once you start buying something, you keep on having a little look to see what's up as availability on some sites. Excuse my voice, I'm ill at the minute, it sounds a bit off. But I had a look and the trusty Spidershop have gone and done it again and got some newer species in that I've been looking at for some time, and I find that in Europe they're getting more and more of these species but just can't get them over here as frequently as we'd like. So but the Spidershop have managed to get them in, so I couldn't say no and I had to do another order. So let's unbox this and I'll show you what I've got. Right, so first off, in this one, had to get some more trusty moss, because the species that I've got in here are more humid dependent, so I thought I'd get some of this to stick on the top, which is absolutely brilliant, and you can't beat the Spidershop's price, so go check that out on their website. Absolutely brilliant, good size as well, and look how moist that is. It's already soaked, so it's literally ready to go. So I've got one of those. And I also got 2 bags of this, there's 6 litres in there. Got another one at the bottom here, and this is the particular substrate for a more humid species. So I've done my own blend before where I do cocoa fibre and I do some organic substrate. Still get a few issues with that, not that often, but this one has some raring reviews and it's already set to go. You could put it in and it's quite thick where it's good for fossorial species, so they can burrow down nice and deep, but also holds the moisture. So I've got 2 of these. There we go, so that's the next one. That's the other one there, you can see, so it simulates their environment a lot better. So for with these species I bought, they're a little bit more expensive. I definitely wanted them, so I don't want any faults, which you'll see with the enclosures that I've done. I've set them up slightly different, so I thought give them the best chance to get this good substrate. So the second one. And then the box itself, within the box, which has got my goodies in there. Right, let's just get this cut open. I'm excited. As soon as I've done this though, I know what I'll do. I'll probably go back in to my house, chill out, and then I'll probably go back on the website, see what else there is as well, because I'm just addicted at the minute. Once you start, you just can't stop. So let's have a look what's in here. Get rid of these packing peanuts. Heat pack again, lovely and warm. There's 1, show you that in a second. There's 2, there's 3, and there's 4. That's all I ordered today. Right, so these 2 I've been after for a while. You can get them from a few places at the minute as well. I have seen them around, but the Spidershop again, you can't beat them in price. So these 2 here are the Serapagopus species Bachma. I don't know if there's a common name, I think it is just Bachma, but the coloration on these are just absolutely brilliant, and they are fossorial as well, and I do see some of the larger ones coming out and they sit out in the open a bit quite often as well, but they are more humid dependent, so that's why I've ordered that substrate from the Spidershop, just to make sure it's all perfect setup. 3 centimeters is a good size, so I've got some good enclosures which I'll show you in a second, but they're the first 2. I'll probably do these in this video, so I'll rehouse these in this video, but the next 2 I've got, they're going to be done in a video on their own. These are the ones I really wanted. So it's the Orthodonoctane, I think that's right, I'll put it up on the screen. The Orthodonoctane species Vietnam Silver. I have been wanting these, as you can see. The coloration, just wow. I've seen some of these as slings and they're like yellowish fluffy sort of legs with a dark sort of silver sort of carapace, and then as they get older it's like a silver blue sheen, but then still with the different coloration of the fur on the side. Absolutely gorgeous. And some of the videos I've seen of these can be quite defensive. I've seen some docile species, but these are fossorial as well, and 2 centimeters, so these are smaller. The enclosures I've got, I'm hoping they're not going to be too big for these, but the reason is they'll burrow down anyway, so you're not going to be able to see them, but I want to give them enough depth. So 2 centimeters, some people probably do a little bit bigger than this enclosure and it'll be fine, but I don't want to move them around or stress them out, because what they do is they do a silk burrow and they line the silk tube all the way down, and it becomes waterproof as well with the amount of silk they lay inside. So I don't want to then change them, which stresses them out. And I've had other species like this where you upgrade the enclosure and they perish because they don't set up the next web tunnel as quick as they should. And if you make it too moist for them, then that could cause them problems. So I'm going to put them in an enclosure they can be in for absolutely months, if not for a good over a year. So let's show you the enclosures, what I've done. So this is the enclosures I've done. So this is going to be for the Bachma, but I've done 4 enclosures like this. You can see I've done a gravel layer and I've got some good strong mesh on there that they can't actually chew through, because it's got wire through the middle as well, so they will not be able to penetrate below that. And it's a good size enclosure. So for the Vietnam silver, that's only 2 centimeters. It might look massive for them, but they do, and they can burrow down a couple of feet. So for them being 2 centimeters, they'll have plenty of room to burrow down in here. The only problem I'll have is feeding. But with the fossorials, if you don't see them, technically don't go chucking food down into the burrow, because what they can do then, in my experience, is kill the prey. Doesn't mean they're going to eat them. And the prey item will sit there in their web cocoon in the sac and just rot away and just cause the spider to get bacteria infection, and they can die that way. So with these fossorial ones, I just leave them plenty of room in their enclosure, so they're going to be happy, and they can feed, but you'll find they'll come up to the top of the entrance, so you'll see their legs hanging out. If you knock the enclosure when you pick it up and you've seen that they've been up there with their legs and they go down, then you can leave a food item in, because they're up at the entrance, they are ready to feed. So because you've started them, they may need to reset, so I do it that time. But any other time, if I don't see them, I don't feed them. What I've also done in my job, I'm an electrician, so I use this sort of plastic PVC tubing, which is called Copex, and I've cut it in the corner so it literally goes down, and I've put a mesh on the bottom of that as well, so in case they do manage to dig around it, they can't come back up the tube, and that's all hot glued on there. Same at the top where the lid goes on, and it'll hold it in place with all the substrate in. Did put a bit of hot glue, but it sometimes comes off. But the reason I've done that is because I don't want to overly soak the substrate, because I found with certain substrates, when you get certain different bits of material, they bolt together and it forms little rock lumps, and you can have more moisture in certain areas, and that can then impact your setup and your enclosure. So what I've done is, this is my way of then pouring water down through the tube, and it will go down to the gravel layer, and I've done 1 inch of the gravel because I don't want all of this filled with water. I just literally want a couple of milliliters at the bottom the whole way round, and it will then evaporate and the humidity will come up through the substrate. The substrate's already going to be a little bit moist, but then it will just give me that 70 to 80% humidity. And normally you'd need a little few holes on here for air circulation, but because the whole top of these enclosures are completely vented, and with the temperature I've got in here, it's going to be enough for the air to get in and out, and I do manage to keep that well. So I think that's going to be a real good setup for these. So let's just get straight into this and just get these in and rehouse them. So we'll start with the Bachma species. Let's get into this one. So let's see what this substrate is like. Let's get it straight in there. Oh, I can already see I like this mixture. Let's get plenty in. Right, so that's enough for a second, and we flatten it down. Oh, it's nice and moist and cool already. And you can see what I mean by how the substrate all goes into these blocks. Let's get that broken down. I want to leave some room at the top, so because it's an old world species, when they come out they can be defensive and they can fly out, and I'm not sure if these can climb the glass yet, so I don't want to have it right up to the top, so we'll leave that in about there. In fact, we'll put some more in. see, holds the tube in place. And what I might do is tilt this up, so I put more at the top end. Go gather that all around it, create a little bit of a slope. And then what I'm going to do is just create a hole in the middle with another sling pot, because it'll be perfect size. And a nice little starter hole for them. Right, so that's everything I've done. So we've got the water dish, starter hole, which is a good couple of centimeters. And what this species will do is that it will excavate everything from inside there out. And because of the size of them, they're only, let's have a look, 2 centimeters. This is plenty enough deeper. It's a good few inches for them, so they can dig all the way around, do some chambers. But what they'll do is they'll excavate this, and the entrance will be raised up by about 1 inch, maybe more, and then they'll web out from there all the way around, and that'll be their little waiting platform they do when they're hungry, waiting for prey to come out. So they'll probably web up to the water dish, so I'll have to move that. Put some just dry leaves from my area that I collect, a load of wet stagger moss that I've got just to block up around the corner, just a plant there to block that off as well. And that's just to create some more humidity at the top, so it gives me another area that I can moisten without having to moisten the substrate, which is still a bit moist already. I'll put the water down through here later on. The lid goes over up and covers that up, so the lid comes down so they can't get over on there or anything like that at all. And then just the water dish. So I think that's perfect. So let's see if I can get this one out, see if we can have a look, or see if it runs straight down. I'm just hoping it doesn't run straight out. So let's have a look. I've not had a look at them yet. If you can see, they're right down in there. So it is 2 centimeters going on to 2 to 3 centimeters. Sorry you can't see for a minute, but this is going to look like it's really massive, the enclosure for it. But I know what I'm doing with this. I'm doing it so I don't have to keep upgrading, because if I put them in a smaller pot, I'm going to have to change it over in about 2 to 3 months, maybe even sooner than that. And I don't want to do it, because over the next week or two, all it's going to do is dig, web, dig and web. And then by the time it molts, I'll have to change it again, and that can stress them to the amount of webbing that they do. They excavate and build up their chamber over time. So I want it to be able to do it in this where I do not have to take it out, so it'll be completely settled for a longer period of time. So let's see if I can get this one in. Again, as I said, Spidershop, they do it in a way that there's no hole at the other end, which is absolutely brilliant. Okay, see if I can do it so you can see. I want to see if it's got any coloration on it at the minute. Oh wow, they do already. Look at that, that is absolutely stunning. That is absolutely beautiful. I am so pleased and so happy that's in real good condition. This is going to be an amazing enclosure for it. Plenty of room to grow. And then what they can do is also, once they grow in size, they'll go back down into their chambers and they'll adjust it to fit their size. So this way it gives it plenty of room to go down, so it simulates out in the wild. It can dig and dig and dig down. So that hole I've done in there is slightly too big for it, but it will close that hole up itself. So let's see if I can coax this one out. See what sort of temperament this little guy's got. Oh, is he going to go into the fence? Go on, mate. Yes, he is. Get my hands out of the way. Oh, he is. He's gone straight into one. You little beaut.
Oh, he matches the colour of the substrate so well. Look at it, it is stunning. It does, it matches the colour of the substrate with the leaves. The sphagnum moss, that hole's going to be absolutely perfect for it. I am so chuffed. This is going to be a good one to watch on the channel. So you can see there from that sort of angle, it's as if it's just climbed straight out of its hole and it's looking for prey. Look, it's got the leaves all around it. This is going to be amazing to see. I think what I'll do with this, because I'm just going to put the other one in, the other enclosure, do exactly the same. I may give it a couple of days and then tag on some footage to see how the enclosure has changed, just so you can see how well it's settled in. But just look at that. I'll put another picture up there of an adult. I can't wait to see this grow. And I've done the hole at a slight angle. I've noticed they like it at an angle and they'll raise all this out. So hopefully it will do the same as what I said. But what I might do is I might just see if it will feed. We're looking through the glass. I'm sorry if I'm shaking. I'm actually quite ill. But let's just see what happens. This one might be a little bit too big. Cricket, off that. No, it's definitely not ready to eat. Probably doesn't feel safe because it's out in the open. There we go, down he goes. So there we go. Straight down in that hole. And you may think, oh, that enclosure is too big for it. But you can already see it in the hole. I guarantee you it will make its own den the size it requires, and you'll be amazed at how much it actually makes a chamber and digs down. It will probably do a chamber that disappears off and goes around on a couple of sides. So I'm going to get the other one in and then we'll see you back in a couple of days just to show you what they're doing. But look at that coloration. Stunning. Okay, so there's the second enclosure, and I've not mixed that all around, so I've just done the same and just put the top and the bottom. The first bit that came out was a bit darker on this side, but it's fine, it's all the same. That's quite moist as well, but I've already filled the water up through my Copex tube and it's already come up to here. So a couple of mils is exactly where I wanted it, all the way across. Keep your enclosure flat when you're filling it up from the one side of the back end. Once the water reaches the other side, then you know you've got the same level all the way around. Don't go tilting it because it's obviously guiding you then. Obviously you're not going to know how much is in there. So when it's flat, fill it in, and I've done it so it's below the substrate, so it's not exactly touching the substrate, because if you get it to that point, then the substrate will just suck up the water straight away and it will just soak up all here. So we'll keep an eye on that for the next couple of days. So let's get this second one in. I've done the same again. And these are very fast, as I've just found out. They come flying out of the little pot and went absolutely everywhere, and they can climb the glass as well. You can see it down in there. See if I can get this one to go straight in. So pleased with these. See, they don't look much at the minute because they're so small, but Christ, it was like lightning. See if I can give it a little tap. Come on, buddy. Ooh, really defensive. Look at that, so bold. See the coloration on it there. Look at it, it's so bold. I wouldn't say these are aggressive, they're just defensive. But you can see the pattern on the abdomen.
Absolutely stunning. Come on, bud, let's see if we can get you in. Don't run out like your other one. Oh, little strike. One is a nice hole for you down there. Oh, another one. Oh, I'm going to enjoy having these growing older. Oh, yes, what a strike. Look at that, showed me the fangs. Oh, I love a defensive tarantula. On its back legs. Oh, he's going over even further. Wow. Feisty little guys. Look at the size of the fangs for the tiny little sling at the minute. Massive. Oh, I can't wait till these get bigger. Come on, mate. Oh, he ran back in. Give it the big one, now he's scared. Okay, so these ones will bite in defense. Here we go, come on. There we go. There we go, so I think you'll find that is absolutely amazing. They blend in well with this substrate as well, with the sphagnum moss, the dry leaves. This is just absolutely brilliant. So there we have the second one, a little bit defensive, non-aggressive. I was poking it, trying to get it in, so it's going to give a little threat pose, but that was absolutely amazing. Cannot wait for these to get a lot bigger. So stay tuned. I've got more coming up from a couple of days later, and we'll see what they've done with the enclosure.